Well, we have some friends of ours who have been exposed to those who have COVID or may have people in their houses. Here, you and I are remote without any of our production.
We're in our own little bubble.
Listen, I think we're definitely blessed. It's been a crazy ride. If you'd have told me in coming into 2021 that we would have the success in 2021 even better than the success that we had in 2020, I mean, I would have told you like, hey, that's wishful thinking, John. How much time are you spending working on your business versus in your business? Because the shift that needs to be made is I've got to get back to working on my business, which is growing it.
Yeah, the 3 points that I like to point out is you've got to know what you want, plan a path to achieve it, and then 3, commit to it.
The committing is the hard part.
The committing is the hard part.
All right, so welcome to another episode of the Contacts to Contracts podcast. I am Bryan Lovell, always here with Senior John Jones. A little bit different format for us today.
we're almost always here, so we're a little bit out of sorts here. We're not in our studio. What's happening this week?
Well, we have some friends of ours who have been exposed to those who have COVID or may have people in their houses that have COVID. So in an effort to be safe and sound, here you and I are remote without any of our production crew.
We're in our own little bubble.
Without any of our production crew. It's crazy that after a year, I mean, I don't know, we've done a year and a couple of months, I think, of the podcast. And this is the first time like we've really, I mean, we tried to record this last week. We tried to record this today. And in both instances, we had, folks who were struggling with the COVID bug. So, but here we are dropping back and punting and trying to bring you the last episode of the Contacts to Contracts podcast for the year.
This is it. Yeah. This is a wrap.
Yeah.
Man, so it's been full circle quite a year, right? For us.
Yeah. In
the real estate mortgage industry. And I think that we're blessed that we made it through the year, right? It felt like 3 or 4 years for a lot of us.
Yeah, listen, I think we're definitely blessed. It's been a crazy ride. If you'd have told me in coming into 2021 that we would have the success in 2021 even better than the success that we had in 2020, I mean, I would have told you like, hey, that's wishful thinking, John. But here we are. And in a lot of cases, we're seeing a lot of loan officers, a lot of branch managers, a lot of real estate agents better their 2020, which we knew 2020, at least for the mortgage industry, was the best year that the mortgage industry had ever had. Right. So we'll see. But we're starting to see some shifts and pivots. Just looking at our company's numbers, which I think is a good subsection to look at. We're seeing some pretty significant decreases in refinances. I think that will continue, as we go into the new year, and we're starting to see some shifts and pivots into, the purchase market as well. And I just think here's what I've learned over the last couple of years is I do not have, nor does anybody else have a crystal ball and what to expect coming into the new year, because it seems like every time we think we have it figured out, it changes a little bit, and we're continuing to pivot, and adjust.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think that, we've had some guests on throughout, through this past year that, different people that I think by all indications, we're probably going to have, I think, a very good, robust real estate market for 2022 on the purchase side and well beyond 2022. So if you're in the real estate industry, in any way, shape, or form, it's still going to be, hunker down, get back to a little bit more normalcy. For us in our industry, meaning purchase money transactions, and I think we're going to be in good shape this year.
Yeah, I think so. I think if you were an originator who did primarily purchase money in 2021, and let's say primarily, let's say you did 70% purchase versus 30% refi, you're probably going to have a pretty successful year. You'll be able to back up what you did in 2021. I think, for some of us though, we're going to be facing some shifts or some pivots. And I think one of the things that I see happening in our business is over the last 2 years or year and a half, we've spent a lot of time working in our business instead of on our business. And
Yeah, I
to
agree.
clarify, working in our business is, hey, I got all these loans in my pipeline, I got all this stuff to do, and we roll up our sleeves and we get into the day-to-day pushing loans through the pipeline, more operations than we do sales. And quite frankly, I think business has come a little bit easier for us in the past 18 months than it probably has in quite some
Absolutely.
time. And so we get a little complacent maybe, and we quit spending some of that time working on our business. And so I think, to me, the shift, if I could heed any advice to our listeners, is, as we go into 2022, how much time are you spending working on your business versus in your business? Because the shift that needs to be made is, I've got to get back to working on my business, which is growing it.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think numbers tell a story, as you like to say. In the last quarter, we've seen those numbers definitely on the refinance side trending, substantially down, and even a little bit on the purchase side, because, for some folks, maybe they haven't, like you said, maybe they haven't been doing some of those activities that bring the business in the door. They've just kind of caught up and closed out their pipeline, and now they're like, where's the next loan coming from? So it is time to, perfect timing. As we did business planning, we had a call, a podcast about a month ago that we put out for 2022 business planning. It's
Yep.
time. You need to take action today.
Yep.
So, whatever real estate mortgage, you need to hit the street running January 1st, and get after it,
Yeah.
and,
And hey, just
and
to
replenish your pipelines.
Yeah, and to go back to that podcast, I believe it was part two of a two-part podcast we did on business planning. And if you go to the description on YouTube of that particular podcast, there's actually a link where you can go and get the tool that John and I went over to help you with business planning. And obviously, whether you work with us, or it doesn't matter whether you work in the mortgage industry, John and I would be happy to help you with walking through that. If you want to reach out to us, we'd be happy to do that. John, I'm gonna throw you a little bit of a curveball here real quick, because we didn't talking about this, but remember, we did an exercise a couple of weeks ago as a team where we talked about what were some of the things that could prevent us from hitting our goals in 2022. Do you remember that conversation?
I do a little bit. Yeah, I think I missed part of that. I may have been on
You
vacation.
may have been on vacation, actually. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, so we had just talked about, what were some things that could derail us, not just us, but anybody, from hitting their 2022 goals. And I think whether you're in real estate, mortgage, or whatever your business is, think about this for a minute as you go into the new year. And the reason for that is just giving some identity to some of the things that could prevent you from hitting your goals in 2022. And the reason you want to give it some identity was the next conversation we had was, what happens if, right? And so part of that is, what is Mike Tyson? He says everybody has a plan until you get punched in the mouth, right?
Right.
This is having the plan after you get punched in the mouth, is basically what we're talking about. I think, one of the things we talked about was complacency. One of the things that we talked about is, we don't know how inflation will affect both the housing market and the mortgage market, good or bad, what the timetables of that would be. We talked about some of the things that could derail us could be, hey, we don't know what the next pandemic is, or if there is a next pandemic. But I'm just throwing out some examples to those who are watching or listening about some ideas that you may want to consider. For your business, it could be any number of things. But put some thought into what are some things that could prevent you from hitting those 2022 goals, and put that pivot plan in place that, if this were to happen, this is how I would shift.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point. I mean, the 3 points that I like to point out is, you've got to know what you want, plan a path to achieve it, and then 3, commit to it.
The committing is the hard part.
The committing is the hard part. For me, I'm going to throw this out there. for all our listeners, I am going to make a firm commitment to engage in cold calling to help us recruit as a company for 2022. And I'm going to commit to it. And I'm going to have you, Bryan, hold me accountable to make those calls.
Listen,
I've been putting a lot of thought into it. It's
Yeah.
That's part of the business that, I think for many of us, that's a huge fear for me, a huge fear for many of us that are in sales. But I am going to make that commitment to be consistent and to know that not everybody's going to engage me on that call, but I'm going to continue on to the next, and the next.
Yeah. Well, listen, as you know, anything I can do to help you accomplish your goals, I'm all about.
You're going to be in the room with me.
If I gotta be, that's what I'll do.
Hitting the auto dial and then away we go.
Yeah, if I gotta be, that's what we'll do. So cool. Well, listen, John and I, we had an idea for a really cool podcast that we were going to do as the last podcast of the year. Obviously, we had to shift today into what you're watching or listening to today. But the next one that we do is going to be really, really funny. It's going to be a really good time. Make sure you want to tune into that. I promise it'll be worth it. But we just want to take a couple of moments and say thank you to our viewers, whether you're watching us online or you're listening on, whatever podcast format that you're listening on. We appreciate you taking time out of your day, every single week or however often you do, to listen to what we have to share. Our goal is just to add massive value to those who are in our viewership or within the earshot of our voice. And also, listen, we could not do this without some really awesome people. And I'll start with our video production crew is the bee's knees. In fact, they help us with ideas. They make sure that we put out a quality product, not just from a video standpoint or an audio standpoint, but like they're not afraid to say, hey guys, like that wasn't so good. You might want to redo that one.
Shout out to Kyle and Zach. Thank you guys.
Yeah. So Kyle and Zach, who help us out with that. And then we have a great marketing team behind us that makes sure all of this stuff gets posted, has the proper descriptions. Angelina, Katie, the team there. And then also like all of our guests. I don't know about you, John. Yeah, I don't know about you, but this show's way better than when it's more than just the two of us.
100%. Thanks to all our guests that make the show successful. 100%.
Yeah. So we had a number.
Nobody wants to listen week in and week out to you and I talk mortgage stuff.
No, not at all. I agree with you. Like, I think it's way better when it's more than just the two of us. And we've had some great guests, and we look forward to bringing you some great guests in 2022 as well. Hey, like, by the way, if there's somebody that you would love to see us talk to, feel free to hit us up.
Yeah. We're looking for topics.
Yeah. And hey, if you're a podcaster yourself or whatever, and you want to have John or I on your show, we would be happy to reciprocate that as well. So
100%.
John, anything else you want to add here?
No, man, you summed it up. Another great year. Thank you, Bryan, for allowing me to join you, sit by your side, listen to all your wisdom through 2021, and look forward to 2022 and what that brings to us. And again, thanks to everybody that helps us put this show on a weekly basis. It is not easy, as Bryan said, and a special thanks to all of our listeners and all of our guests that we've had on in 2021. Thank you for being part of our show. Really much appreciated. And lastly, when this show airs, it's going to be New Year's Eve day. I want to go ahead and wish all of our listeners a happy end to the year and a safe, happy end to the year 2021. And good luck in 2022. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Contacts to Contracts podcast. On behalf of John Jones, I am Bryan Lovell. And if there's ever anything that you need, please know we're always here to serve.